Dear associates of Titan Company, welcome to another edition of the leadership series of the Gold Standard program. Today I am joined by Mr. Murugan, who is the head of employee relations and people compliances in Titan Company. Welcome, Murugan, to leadership series of Gold Standard. Today we are meeting to discuss a very important topic, which is the four labor laws.
Thank you, Suvandu. First of all, I would be very happy to connect with all the business associates and also talk about this important subject, particularly when it touches every stakeholder who are actually connected with us, serving for us. And in that way, I'm too happy to join this session. It's an important topic to be discussed.
Thank you. So, Murugan, why were these labor codes devised and what are they?
Well, Suvendu, if you look at the labor legislations themselves, they are all focused on ensuring wages, social security, and also certain benefits when it comes to organized working environment.
Right.
It is also it started almost 100 years before to good atmosphere, hygiene, health, and sense of security. If you look at many of the labor legislations today, it all started from Tata's legacy, right?
Yes.
So many of these, even before it became law, and these were practiced in Tata Steel, and that was the route. Then many of these became legislations, and now it is labor laws, and the latest of them is labor codes.
Yes. So I can recall, Murugan, reading somewhere that the maternity benefits for women, the working hours, and the leaves, etc., all these things were introduced by the Tatas sometime in 1910 or between 1910 and 1920. That was a long time back. And as a Tata company, these are very, very important that our business associate community also picks these labor codes and make it a way of life. So what are those four social that labor codes that we talk about?
Well, in India, actually, the labor laws are grouped into two verticals. One is that all central laws. The other one is that state-specific laws. So what we are seeing today, the 29 labor laws of central have been actually grouped into four labor codes. All of them have been subsumed into four codes. So these four codes name code on wages. Second one is that code on social security. The third one is industrial relations code. The fourth one is occupational safety and health and working conditions code. So these four, in a way, subsumed all these 29 central labor laws. So apart from that, there are certain state-specific laws which also provide certain guidance how the establishment have to run.
All right. So is everything applicable to our Tanishq stores, our Titan Worlds and Fast Track, Ilios, Mia, and every other store, or the distributors, or the CFA? As a matter of fact, all of them are employers.
It's a good question. Maybe I can actually touch upon a condition why this actually preceded and these codes actually come in now. Earlier, all the labor laws actually had its own objective and purpose. Thereby, it had its own kind of applicability provisions. These four codes now actually been made uniform, and the applicability also has become very clear and uniform across all legislations. In that way, now these codes apply irrespective of whether it is a factory or establishment, but subject to certain thresholds. In our context, where 10 or more employees are employed in any establishment, which includes factories or otherwise, where any business is carried on, most of these codes apply.
Which means you are saying that in retail stores, these codes apply.
Yes.
And it is very, very important that our associates understand which are those elements which are extremely critical. Otherwise, it will be going on the wrong side of the law. Murugan, you just mentioned that there are four labor codes, and the first one is the code on wages. Can you describe a little?
Code on wages talks about four earlier legislations. One is that payment of wages, minimum wages, payment of bonus, and also equal remuneration.
All
Right?
right.
All these four have been subsumed into one. Now that is called code on wages. Important change what it brings. Earlier, payment of wages, for example, which was applicable to people, those who are drawing only 24,000 and below.
Okay.
So now this code on wages, including all these four in a way chapters, covers all employees.
All right.
Meaning, any store, any number of employees, irrespective of the number of people count, so this code on wages will apply.
All right. And could you just describe in terms of, let's say, salaries, how they are going to design the salary, what is expected?
Well, see, important element or elements in code on wages. One is that first and foremost, everybody has to be issued with an appointment letter.
All right.
It is a mandatory thing.
Okay.
And when it comes to wages, see, no one can be paid below the minimum wages prescribed.
And that minimum wages is defined by the state government
Yes,
or the central?
okay. There are actually, this is also a new introduction in the code now. Now the minimum wage will have two parts.
Okay.
One is the national floor wage that will be determined by the central government.
Okay.
And the minimum wage will be fixed by the respective state government.
All right.
However, the state minimum wage cannot be less than the national floor wage.
Okay.
So now the state has to fix over and above national floor wage, but that discretion rests with the state government as it was earlier.
Okay. So the next thing that comes to my mind is the timing of the payment. I often think that a 30-day gap as a regular cycle is important, but in my view, it should be paid within the first few days of the month.
Well, it is actually every employer has to fix the wage period. Within 7th day of expiry of the wage period, the wages has to be paid. Say, for example, if we keep maybe first of a month to 30 or 31st of the month as the wage period, within subsequent 7th day, the wages to be paid mandatorily.
Correct. But you know, Murugan, in Titan, I encourage our associates to, pay as early as possible. Because there are people who have commitments, people who have, EMIs or certain fixed expenses, and it really helps if they get it right up in the beginning of the subsequent month. If not first, then second, if not second, then third, but certainly not later than fifth. This is what I do in my workshops.
That's a good thing, but however, as a Titan practice, they can also look at the Titan how we practice. The last day of the month is our payday, right? So, as far as possible, while as a brand and also as a goodwill to our own associates, it is better or aim to pay by the last day of the month. For whatever reasons, not later than 5th, that would be the good practice.
Murugan, you know that in retail and in sales, incentives is also a substantial chunk of the earning. Is it possible to combine them two, or should it be separated?
See, incentive is a component which is paid over and above the prescribed minimum wages, Surendu. That is a recognition and kind of a motivation to the associates, but that is not a compensation for minimum wages. Minimum wages is a mandatory payment. Whatever to recognize the efforts paid as incentive, which will be over and above the minimum wages.
Yeah, that's a good clarification because many of the franchisees have this question in their mind. You know, in Titan, we have something called 5 Essentials, which we introduced a few years ago. And these five essentials are appointment letter to every individual, ID card as per the specified format shared by Titan, and then we have salary on time, and now we have these minimum wages and all that Murugan just talked about, and we have ESI to the where it is applicable, or safe insurance for every business associate employee, which Titan pays for, and PF, which is an extremely important social security tool for people to feel psychologically and financially safe. Please throw some light on the Social Security Code.
Yeah. Social Security Code covers your Provident Fund, ESI, employee compensation benefits, amongst others. More importantly, from the store's retail environment point of view, these 3-4 critical compliances are very, very essential. Uh, PF still covers as it was doing earlier. So, whichever establishment has got 20 or more employees, necessarily mandatorily to be covered, contributions to be made by both employees and the employer. That continues.
What happens in a case where somebody has less than 20 employees? Is a voluntary enrollment possible?
Yes, of course, voluntary registration of the establishment possible, irrespective of the number of employees. That they can approach the respective regional PF office and make that voluntary application. They can get enrolled.
All right.
So, continuing with that, when it comes to ESI again, the threshold of minimum 10 employees, if engaged, the establishment will get covered, mandatorily to be covered for ESI coverage. Employee compensation chapter or earlier act, which deals with if any accident occurs out of and in the course of employment, employer is liable to pay certain compensation. So, which is actually dealt in the employee compensation provisions. Under the Social Security Code, amongst other provisions, these three are important elements when it comes to retail store environment.
Okay. So I just want to ask a question to you over here. See, ESI, you said that it is about 10 employees or more. Okay. What about, is it possible to enroll people voluntarily if they have less than 10 employees?
Actually, no, it is unlike PF provisions.
Correct.
But however, there is a provision if for the academics I'm just sharing. If any hazardous process is carried out in any establishment, even one employee, they can get covered under the ESI coverage. But in the normal course, other than that, minimum 10 employees is the mandatory thing.
Yeah, that means that retail is not a hazardous
Yes. Yes,
industry.
you're right.
Okay.
You're
Yeah. Okay. So after discussing the ESI and PF, you mentioned one point about compensation in case of loss of life due to an accident. Okay. Can you tell me that what is the amount of that compensation?
Okay, it's a good point. Again, before going to the amount of compensation, I would like to share that employee when started commuting to work, from there it is covered.
Okay.
Like out of and in the course of employment, what we mean, it is starting from the residence to work and also again after end of the shift and reaching home. So this entire duration is covered as part of employment. Uh, what is the amount of compensation? There is a on the last drawn salary subject to a max of 15,000 rupees. That will be taken for calculations. So the method in which the calculations to be made in the case of unfortunate permanent disability or death arising out of an accident, the formula and criteria available in that way it has to be calculated. But what is more important here is would encourage the establishments actually go for a cover insurance. right? It is one which will help that individual employee and family when something untoward happens as a security, and also which can be used as a cover to pay that compensation when something untoward happens.
Yeah. So let me tell you, Murugan, in Titan, uh, we have been giving 10 lakh compensation in the event of any death to the next of kin or the family members of the deceased. And it covers all kinds of death. And it covers, irrespective of working hours or non-working hours, or holidays, working days. Uh, that 10 lakh is a given for the employees. Our franchisees also at this moment are contributing to 1 year's salary as a additional amount, and this has been really helping. So ESI also comes as a additional security measure, financial security measure, and wherever possible, subject to the conditions of the government, our franchisees should enroll, and we encourage them to enroll.
Well, I would like to share, in addition to whatever company is extending as a support, Swendu, these legislations actually they meant for it to provide security for the dependents when an untoward death occurs. For example, Provident Fund, there is a linked EDLI benefit, employee deposit linked insurance. The premium is borne by the employer's out of employer's contribution, or employer is liable to pay contribution. The employee need not pay anything, which provides a death benefit of 7 lakhs in the event of any unfortunate death of the member. When somebody is covered under ESI as well, so if a member dies out of and in the course of employment, something happens, then 90% of the wages last drawn will be paid as a pension to the dependent family members. This is in addition. Apart from this, Titan also hope they are all covered under the safe insurance. Safe insurance also extends two benefits. One is that a medical coverage of up to 1 lakh to the member, and a 3 lakhs personal accident cover. This is also in addition to other benefits available. Whatever as an ex gratia company is giving,
Is over and above.
it is over and above.
Correct. So I think that when we combine the government's social security and whatever the franchisee pays plus whatever the companies paying, Titan is a Titan Business Associate employment is quite wholesome and good from the financial perspective. This is something that we can, design as a part of our EVP and let employees know so that they have the same comfort and they have the same understanding. I also know that many of our business associates have additional family floater covers, and that I'm told is a very, very big reassurance to the employees. This way, when all of Titan ecosystem comes together to support the employee, I think his employment becomes much more meaningful than what it is otherwise. Murugan, can you tell us which are the critical aspects of compliances which a franchisee should never compromise on?
Well, there are basic compliance requirements. So, any new store that has to actually comply with certain registration formalities. See, first thing comes a registration under the Shops and Establishment Act and a trade license, right? And depending on the number of associates, meaning employees employed therein, going for a coverage of PF, ESI, and gratuity, these things comes next. So the registration and licenses are must. This
All
is
right.
first point. As a store, something has to ensure. Then when it comes to people, um, even one employee, you should issue an appointment letter, and you must ensure that they are paid wages not less than the minimum wages of the respective state, and everybody is issued with a valid identity card.
All right.
Right. Apart from ensuring that the remittances in terms of PF and ESI that are remitted by 15th of the subsequent month, and of course payment of wages we already discussed, if possible by the last day of the month, if not at least 5th of the subsequent month.
All
These
right.
are all essential in the first place.
Yeah, true. We also called it five essentials.
Correct.
3-4 years back when we launched that program. Okay. But these four labor codes go much beyond the five essentials, and the franchisees and the distributors and CNF owners must take cognizance of this fact, and the government is very, very serious about implementing this.
I would like to add a point here, Swendu. These labor codes have brought in significant changes in the way in which we actually structure our salary components. If any associates they are paying, of course, there could be many associates getting more wages than the minimum wages. In such situations, you need to take care of the salary structure definitions also into account. It means that now, broadly, maybe for the purpose of understanding, I use this jargons. There is an inclusion components and there will be an exclusion basket of components. Meaning, if you are paying 100 rupees, 50 rupees you have to necessarily pay in the name of inclusion components. Other 50% you can pay in the name of allowances. Why this comes? All your social security contribution, say for example PF, ESI, if you pay leave encashment, bonus, all of this to be calculated on the inclusion components.
All right.
So ensure that all your wages aligning with this 50-50% rule.
All right. In retail stores, I have seen, Murugan, there are employees who come up to the owners, and they are basically very young, they are beginners. They do not have a perspective of PF and ESI and all that. Because there are employee deductions, they come and tell the franchisee that, sir, don't enroll me into PF, and I would like that amount to be reimbursed to me directly. What should the franchisee do at that point of time?
No, it's a valid question. See, when it comes to statutory provisions, we don't have a discretion. We need to comply, right? If we have to be covered under PF or ESI, for that matter, as prescribed by the thresholds, we need to mandatorily cover them and pay the remittances. There is no discretion.
All right. Which means it is compulsory, yes, and we don't have an option not to comply.
That's right.
Working conditions is a very hot topic in the world of compliances and employer-employee relationship. So what are those things that come under these working conditions?
No, well, see, the Occupational Safety, Health and Working Conditions Code, now it is a broad legislation which covers towards the conditions of employment. In addition to that, the state shops and establishment acts, which actually varies from state to state, which also talks about these working conditions. Largely, these provisions cover about daily working hours, beyond which overtime provisions will apply, and also compulsory intervals between the periods in a day, mandatory weekly off in a period of 7 days. Apart from that, the mandatory leaves that need to be given to every employee as per the provisions under the shops and establishment code of the state. Yeah. So generally, these are all the provisions which are available in the either code or shops and establishment.
In our business associate people function toolkit that we provide for our associates, we have state-wise, the leave rules, the number of days what is a privilege leave, what is a sick leave, and what are casual leaves, and all kinds of leaves. Okay, so these are the things that we should not ignore. We should factor them while planning our store operations. And if it means that a person or two or three needs to be, added to the store to maintain, uh, a good, excellent customer service, it should be done. It, this is not one area where people should compromise.
I would like to add to your point, Swendu. Not providing a weekly off in a period of 7 days, and also not extending the mandatory leaves will be seen as a very critical violations by the authorities. So they all must be ensured at any cost. As you rightly said, the workforce can be managed accordingly, but not to take any deviation from these provisions.
Right. One side of this is the compliance angle, but the other side is, I believe, that when people are given these leaves, there is a reason for it. It helps those people to recharge, refresh, and come back supercharged to perform. Sales and retail is not a routine job. It is a matter of motivation. The best people and the best results are, obtained by people who are superly motivated to achieve their numbers. It is a frontline role, and hence leave plays a very, very important part in their lives. In Titan, they have renamed the leave as a well-being leave, and everybody is encouraged to take leaves so that they can come back refreshed and recharged. So the values are common between the company and the franchisee. And this is how we can bring our two ecosystems together.
No, well said. All these legislations or the codes actually aim to provide kind of a comfort and safe, hygienic working conditions to all employees. That is the primary objective. Uh, it's not only stopping there. It is again a great tool to retain and motivate our own workforce, right?
Which is a
Yeah,
big problem.
which is a big problem. And again, a comfort environment, a welcoming environment is a good place of work.
Yeah, it builds.
That leads to actually high productivity and high motivation and high engaged working environment.
Yes, yes.
So
Would
while
you, would you, Murugan, now touch upon two other important topics? One is uh, listening, you know, to the employees, and something about workplace harassment, something about sexual harassment, because these are also realities that are rampant in society.
no, it's very important. Now everywhere people they talk about, and every small establishment they are aware of prevention of sexual harassment at workplace provisions. Anyways, this is a mandatory thing. Every establishment, many places, there are no limitations on number of people should be there to form internal compliance committees. We encourage that wherever these 10 or more associates are working, to have a internal compliance committee to address or listen to people grievances when it comes. Apart from that, where there are 20 or more employees working, as per the code, we need to have a grievance redressal committee. So this also mandatorily to be formed, and there are set of guidelines given in the code. Primarily, the objective is listen to people with grievance and um, try to address in the early stage, and also take steps to look at particularly safety and hygiene factors as a topmost priority. So these are all not only from that point of view, addressing any grievance is very critical from the working atmosphere point of view. Any aggrieved person, actually, when it is addressed in the beginning, it is taken care. Otherwise, it becomes a grievance and complaint compliant.
Issue.
It's a complaint issue, leading to disengaged environment.
Yeah.
That needs to be avoided. Apart from compliance, it is for their good and for any working environment good. This needs to be given top priority.
Murugan, there are a few things which I want some clarifications from you, and I'll come to them one by one. One is, retail is like a 365-day business. Okay, it goes across weekends, national holidays, and it just goes on and on. So, is there any wages related clarification that you want to give?
There are two areas we need to keep in mind. One is that per day working hours and also weekly working hours. As per provisions, as I already touched upon, if it exceeds 8 hours a day or 48 hours in a week, those many hours have to be paid at the rate of overtime wages, which is nothing but twice
Does
a
it
week.
include lunch or
Excluding lunch. Excluding lunch. This is one. Other one very important thing, when people happen to work on a national or festival holiday, which is declared as per the provisions, so it is allowed, but however, for that day so worked, the wages to be paid twice the rate.
twice the rate?
That is mandatory. All this again subject to everyone is provided a day of weekly off within a period of 7 days. That is a mandate.
All right. And another thing that uh, has bothered us is health and well-being of the people with respect to medical checkups, physical health, vision, and any other thing. What is your?
Well, so there is a first time it has been brought very clearly under the occupational code. All the workmen above 40 years of age, they need to be mandatorily done with the annual health check. That is a responsibility of the employer. In this environment, any store management, they are required to actually maintain these records, and mandatorily there has to be a health check, annual health check, and we need to preserve the records as well. For others, while health is common for everyone, I remember you also ran a program of voluntarily health check
Yeah.
cover. So would encourage that utilize such customized and subsidized health check programs, and everyone should be made to use that opportunity and ensure and also provide a kind of a comfort to all the associates.
So, business associates, let me take this opportunity to tell you that in Titan, we encourage health checkups, vision checkups for everybody, irrespective of their age. That is because we have seen lots of health related mishaps which have happened at a very young age, and most of them have been below 40. So that's one. The other, in the month of July and August, we are launching our Titan Cares month. And in these 2 months, we are going to run a campaign for health and well-being, and which will include health checkups. We have partnered with TrueWorth. We have negotiated very good rates for the health checkup with doctor consultation online, and I would encourage each one of you to take advantage of that. The advantage of going through a centralized agency, which we have signed up, is that we get to see the analytics at the end of the campaign. And that helps us to understand the state of health of the people and bring you programs on health and well being based on those analytics. So, Murugan, thank you for this session. It was wonderful. It was an eye opener. This was requested by business associates across and over a period of time. Law is not easy to understand or comprehend. Law is, but law is extremely important to be followed because each one of our business associates have put in their lifetime's earning in running our stores, and they all mean well. But law is something that we should all take cognizance of and be on the right side. Like Murugan, you often say, ignorance of law is not a
An excuse.
excuse to violate.
Correct. No, this is an opportunity. I'll also extend my warm wishes to all the business associates. Also, you are very much part of a big Titan group. And when it comes to complying with rules, regulations, and also complying with compliance requirements, it's paramount. And also, it is part of our governance requirement as well. So, it is expected that like us, every one of our extended arm also they comply with all the regulatory requirements. In that point of view, it is not only from the compliance point of view, but also to take care of all your associates in a way. All of them, they are our associates as well. To provide those five essentials what you talked about, ensuring that, and also good working conditions, uh, timely compliance of regulatory requirements. We would encourage any point you got any kind of a support required, you can always reach out to us. Our team is available at corporate office. Through Swandi's team also you can reach out. We are here to support you, provide you whatever guidance needed. And all of us together, we ensure that a good environment for all our associates, and also we are together as a compliant organization.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you, sir.